So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 17 Pro Max versus the 16 Pro Max feel. The actual build of materials, the feel in the hand. Has it been better? Has it been worse in the direction they're going with this two-tone iPhone? Is it the better option? Let's talk about it. First of all, surprisingly, the newer iPhone is actually heavier. This one is 233 grams. And this is mostly down to the larger battery. This phone also does have Ceramic Shield 2 glass on the front and the rear, and it does have anti-reflective properties on the display. So overall, this phone is definitely bringing the heat when it comes to the battery size, the display itself, and also definitely a different look. I will say it has been definitely a little bit more slipperier to hold. I mean, that can easily just slip out of your hand like I just demonstrated right there. But I gotta say, I do like the just the kind of the different look with the camera section, the two-tone here, and the cosmic orange to me is like an evolution of this desert titanium, just pops a lot more. But generally this phone to me just feels and looks very nice. The aluminum material is function over form though, because when I pick up the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it feels like a classic luxurious iPhone. Titanium materials feel just a little bit sturdier in the hand. The actual look on the back to me is a little bit cleaner. Not to say that I don't like the newer look of the 17 Pro Max, but I think the 16 Pro Max had a little bit more of a luxe look to it, luxurious look. Let's just be real about that. 227 grams. It is a little bit down in the weight, which is good. And it just feels a little bit more durable to me with the titanium grade 5. So this is just something I noticed when using both of these. In terms of the IP rating, they're both IP68. But over my long term, I got to say that the main thing I just noticed is that this feels just like they finally changed the look up a little bit and slipperier, but also really good with thermals. This right here feels like a previous luxury product that still feels luxurious even now. That's my take long-term on feel. When it comes to the performance, we have the A19 Pro on the left and the A18 Pro on the right. And honestly, for day-to-day tasks, there's been really no differences in performance. You will get upgrades if you go to iOS 27, especially when the official comes out, but they're still a little bit laggy up in this area, but again, 27 fixed that. And even in beta 1, I could probably be running beta on both of these, but I don't want to put beta on every single phone I have. I got beta on some other iPhones, but you'll see right here that generally it's going to feel like you're using the same exact phone. They both have the similar size screen. It's actually the same exact size screen. So it just basically feels like the same thing when you're holding it. Surprisingly, there's actually more screen to body ratio on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, so slightly different there. But generally, I got to say that, software-wise, performance-wise, they run like absolute champs. There's like a slight boost to the A19 Pro, but the real boost is longevity versus value right now. You're going to get the 12 gigs of RAM, so it's going to give you more longevity. And then this one with the 8 gigs of RAM is still going to give you some time, but it's going to reach a little bit less performance in the longer haul. So it's going to be a while, but still, the 12 gigs gets you on board for Apple's future developments with AI and keeps the phone running strong. So if you want a long-term strong phone in terms of the way we're going with this rapidly advancing AI stuff, the iPhone 17 Pro Max will pull ahead for sure. When it comes to thermals though, I do really like the aluminum enclosure on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. It really has changed the game for me. I have not only Apple phones, but Android phones, and this one out of all of them, not just iPhones themselves, feels incredibly good at thermals. The vapor chamber in here, but also the way they use the aluminum around these areas. It just disperses heat so well. It's incredible to behold an iPhone 17 Pro or Pro Max in this area. You can run heavy games, multiple apps, push the phone hard, and it barely gets uncomfortably warm like ever. I don't think I've ever had one time where I was like, this phone is warm. Never. And I don't know if I've had a phone in the past that where I could feel that way, because most of them, when I put it on charger or something, it would get really warm. Now, the iPhone 16 Pro Max also does pretty good in the thermals. It was never annoying, but it will throttle back a bit if it gets too warm, and you do feel it. So you can feel it, but It's not bad. It really isn't, but it's not overly impressive. It just feels like standard good iPhone thermals, but this feels like extremely good thermals on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. When it comes to the software, we're running 26 on these right now, 26.5.1, 26.5 on the right. And generally, it's been getting better over the past several updates. 26.6 is about to come out. But at the same time, it still doesn't run quite as responsive as iOS 27. So I'm just looking more forward to the official iOS 27 for everybody. You can get the beta, the dev beta right now, which also runs pretty good. But for those of you waiting for official or public releases, it's going to be worth the wait. There's just a little few more micro stutters in this phone. It's not going to be that noticeable here in just a couple of swipes, but you definitely feel it. But the features content wise, you don't get too much more on the iPhone 17 Pro Max besides some camera enhancements on this phone. You get camera control on both of these. So really, it felt like I just am using a more efficient version of last year's device when it comes to the software. You will get a little bit more software support, but long term, again, it just feels like I'm using the same phone. So it's kind of the way it is with the iPhones. You get the same old with software, but that's the reason why in the long haul you do get yourself long-term support as well, because they kind of keep things similar, which makes it easier to update, easier to maintain long-term. But yeah, 26 has been better over these dot releases, but it's just not quite as responsive as 27. But if you're looking for one of these two in the area of software, I would only go with the 17 Pro Max. Like if you really want to have a longer term support with Apple Intelligence and you're concerned about the 8 gigs of RAM here in the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Because other than that, this phone runs like it just came out yesterday, the 16 Pro Max. So it's really, really a wash there for most folks, I would say. Now, when it comes to the camera experience long term, I got to say that the iPhone, because, like when you're going to use this phone, if you're using this for a case, this is an area where it would easily slip out of the hand. You could see that pinky roll right there, like how it slides off my pinky right here. This is an area where if you're not using a case, you try to flip it over real quick into camera control, it could slip. But the actual camera itself gives you 8x zoom 40 times, so more zoom than the previous version. But the real upgrade was on the front-facing camera as well. You could really back out that front-facing camera quite a bit. And also you have really good video quality options here. But really this front-facing camera is a game changer, with the results also turning out pretty solid on the rear. 24 megapixel shots, 48 megapixel raw. And it's been excellent. It's really been one of my favorite cameras of all time on an iPhone for that 17 Pro Max, mostly because they did that thing like they did with the iPhone 11 series where they made all of the cameras on the rear kind of the same. And they also did the thing on the front where they upgraded the front selfie. So that was a big deal. Now for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you top out at 5x, 25. So you're not going to be able to zoom as far. And also on the front, you can't back it out as far. So this phone does feel now behind a pretty good amount of the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But if you just stay in the one, I would say the 2x zoom in the ultra wide, it's going to be pretty good. And the video is still superb with its 4K 30, and you do have super slow motion on here as well. So it's not like this is behind too much in that quality. It still gives you pro level results. But because this phone, the way it feels on the corners is a little grippier, I don't feel like when I flip it over into the camera control area, I'm going to go ahead and drop it. So a little bit grippier there when landscape photography or videography. And when it comes to the actual battery life and charging, I got to say that the iPhone 17 Pro Max brings the heat for sure. It does give you a 5,080 milliamp hour battery. Funny enough, this is actually a larger phone than Samsung's Ultra, and this is a Max phone, not an Ultra phone, but it has a bigger battery. And while it's not silicon carbon, this is probably one of the best I've seen of any phone that is not silicon carbon on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. This phone easily is that type of phone where if you charge it, you can go your whole day, go to sleep, forget to charge it, you wake up and still have enough to get to at least to the point where you'll get to a charger, maybe even middle of the day. So it's very, very good on the battery department. It also charges a little bit faster in my experience than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It just seems to charge a little bit quicker, even if the stats say they're kind of the same. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is a pretty solid battery life phone as well. It was much better than the 15 Pro Max. So if you do want to get a phone that has, a little bit cheaper price than the newer phone, but doesn't really suffer in the battery. The 4,800 or 685 milliamp hour battery on the 16 Pro Max is no joke either. This phone could easily last a full day. It's just a little bit lower if you forget to charge it at night the next day. Whereas a 17 Pro Max could kind of hit that middle of the next day, maybe even finish a second day. Versus the 16 Pro Max, where you're going to be a little bit like, I got to charge this thing. So I would say a day and a quarter. This one's about a day and a half going into 2 on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And that's a little bit louder on the iPhone 17 Pro Max was the speakers coming out the top and the bottom. This phone definitely got slightly louder. It was noticeable, not like crazy noticeable, but it was a little bit louder. So I do like that. You have an improvement. And if you just want to listen to your music and your audio and stuff like that, versus this device over here. Both of them do have pretty nice brightness on their displays though, so that's not really a big issue. They kind of have a similar resolution, similar pixels per inch, basically the same, so that's not really something I wanted to talk too much about, but it does get 3,000 nits brighter, and the anti-reflective properties are stronger on this phone, so on different angles it's going to glare a bit more on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but neither of these to me are as good as the Ultra Samsung when it comes to that department. Now, verdict, these phones, is this a pro upgrade? Was this a minor revision? I would say it's a step in the right direction of the complaints that a lot of people have had over these Max iPhones over the years, like never fixing the front-facing camera. They did that, which is great. Giving us longer iPhone 13 Pro Max like battery. They did that. People are tired of the phone getting too hot. They fixed that. So this is that type of phone where you're gonna struggle to find some complaints. And while it does seem minor on the surface, it does fix a lot of the things that just make the 16 Pro Max a slightly inferior phone. But for sure, if you're looking for the 16 Pro Max at a value proposition, you found this used for a few $100s less, the 16 Pro Max is an absolute steal of a device. If you can find this thing like 700-ish, 800-ish, it's kind of like around the price of a base 17. And that's going to be very, very good deal right there. But for now, I think they're kind of headed in the right direction with the upgrades with the 17 Pro Max going into 18 Pro Max. Maybe we'll see a more vibrant color. The only con, though, I would say is I kind of want them to go back to more premium material. If they could find a way to get the phone to stay cool under the touch with going back to either titanium or like a very premium looking material on the edges, I miss that a little bit, even though aluminum is better at thermal dissipation. So let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section of this video. If you have a 16 Pro Max or a 17 Pro Max, or you're planning on upgrading to one of these, questions, comments, concerns, you could drop them down there as well. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see a video that you might find of interest, check this one out right here. I'll catch you on the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.